Stay tuned for the Long Island Filmmaker Show starring Jerry Parisi, right here on MadhouseTV.com.
Like you don't wanna listen when I'm talking to you. You think you ought to do, baby, anything you wanna do. You gotta be crazy, baby. Just gotta be.
Hi, I'm Jerry Parisi, and welcome to the Long Island Filmmaker Show. Our show is dedicated to doing different things that aid filmmakers, help photographers, move actors, bring people some really good information, and tonight is one of those type of shows. Before we begin, I want to tell you that the guest tonight we have is from Alan Schwartz PC. Is that the way?
It's actually the law offices of Alan J. Schwartz.
The law offices, and I always get tongue-tied when I say it, the law offices of Alan J. Schwartz. And with me is Mr. Alan J. Schwartz. Alan, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Jerry. A pleasure to be here.
You know, I'm sure the viewers are saying, well, here's an interesting concept. Why do we have a law officer or a lawyer for criminal activity on our set tonight? And my answer to them is very simple. One of the things that always seem to happen on sets is the unthinkable. And the unthinkable is like this. It's a lot of hard work. The actors, the production people, everybody puts in a good 16 to 18-hour day. A lot of people can't believe that, but it's a good 16 to 18-hour day. And a lot of times, most sets, like the ones I've been on, and we won't even bother mentioning that list at this point, it's like a wedding banquet. And it really is. You've got your chefs, and they're cooking their eggs, and they're doing this, and they're doing that. And at the end of the night, there might or might not be alcohol. I've seen sets with both and none. So I have this question. You got this wonderful job. You're exhausted. You decide to yourself, oh, let me grab that beer or two, 3, because there happens to be a case open there. You grab a few, knock down 1 or 2 of them, a couple more little things that you need to do before you get out of it, and bang, you put your voucher in and you are free to go. Get into your car. It's exciting. Perhaps you have the day off tomorrow. And after 20 hours of working and running around, it's definitely something to be excited about. But just at that moment, the lights that you thought of put away, which you know you put away, seem to be following you, only with red and white and yellow pulsations.
And blue.
And blue. And suddenly you realize that you are in front of either a Nassau County police car, Suffolk County police car, or God forbid, a New York City police car. What happens? What's the first thing that goes through your mind when you know you just happen to have a few drinks and you're now getting pulled over after all of this work? What's the first thing that you should do to, I guess, comply or help, or what goes through your head?
Well, I guess the first thing that you have to think about is the fact that you are in all likelihood going to be asked if you consumed anything in the nature of an alcohol beverage or an intoxicant, depending upon how a police officer or a state trooper wants to ask that question, and you should be prepared to answer it.
So there's no acting that one out. This is pretty much you're looking someone straight in the face who probably can smell something on your breath and waiting for you to lie. So it's better to be truthful to the officer and say yes, or is it better to say, well, maybe there's something, 4 hours ago, maybe, or something.
Well, I guess the problem is that you have to really be able to evaluate in your mind whether or not you think if you are tested you're going to pass a breathalyzer or an intoxilizer, because there are different instruments that are used today. And the real issue is going to become how much have you had over what course of time, and what have you been drinking. And if you're not going to pass the test, then you're better off saying nothing. You're in all likelihood going to be asked to get out of the vehicle and submit to what they call standardized field sobriety tests, such as what everybody's familiar with, walking the line, and what they may not be familiar with, which is having a light shined into your eyes to test the movement of your eyes and your pupils. And today, many police officers and troopers will also ask you to use what's in the layman's terms referred to as an alcosensor, which is the type of not scientifically accurate instrument that would be a full-fledged breathalyzer or intoxalyzer, but it's the type of thing you could buy at the Sharper Image or Brookstone that some people keep around just to make sure if anybody's drinking, they shouldn't be driving. And if you know ahead of time that you're not going to take a breathalyzer, then you don't want to do standard field sobriety tests just to determine whether or not you should be taking the intoxalyzer, because everything that happens from the moment you get pulled over has evidentiary value. And many of us have seen, particularly in the Nassau-Suffolk area, that many of the patrol cars are now being equipped with video equipment.
Okay.
So from the minute you're pulled over, everything's being taped. So if you're doing standard field sobriety tests, everybody seems to think they did well unless they fall off the line or literally fall down.
Right.
But when you see the video afterwards, a whole different scenario unfolds.
Well, now you know why it's on the Filmmakers Show, because the Nassau and Suffolk County police cars happen to have video cameras built in. But let me ask you something. So let's suppose the worst for the moment, that you say, yes, officer, I did have the following, X, Y, and Z, whatever it might have been. And does he then say, okay, you admitted to it, or does he still have to give you a standard test? Let's go.
I think at that point they're going to have to form their own opinion as to whether or not the voluntary consumption of alcohol or something else affected your ability to operate a motor vehicle, and if so, to what degree. If he's formed the opinion that you have, or he wants to go the next level, or she wants to go to the next level and have you submit to the tests, then that will reinforce what their original inclination was, or in the alternative, they'll decide maybe there really is no reason to bring you in. The problem is, once you answer that question, yes, chances are you're going to subject yourself to these tests. If you know that you're not going to pass, and it's unfortunate, but today we have clients who are in on their second DWI or their third DWI, and they know that they're not saying anything, then they want to be polite, they want to be respectful, but they don't want to answer questions, because if you've told a police officer you've been drinking or had a drink, that admission is admissible in court. And you don't have to get Miranda warnings that everybody talks about when they see police shows, the right to remain silent and so forth.
Oh, that's good.
not required at that point. That's on the scene investigation, but it could cause a whole series of events to unravel based upon how you answer the question.
Oh my gosh. All right, let's change that a little bit. I'm going to put your expertise right to work. And you, before I get, how many years have you been doing this again?
5 as a prosecutor and over 30 as a defense attorney.
So, wow, 30 years of defense attorney. Whoa, you must know your stuff. All right, on the set, generally, especially in New York City, there are the movie units. The movie units are there. They're brought in from the Mayor's Office of Motion Pictures to basically make sure that the security or whatever is done on a set, and let's just quickly put it that way, is correct. There's no problems, ever, X, Y, and Z, whatever it is. Now, you're within, let's say, a set area. Let's say it's a piece of private property. Mm-hmm. The movie units just happen to see you get in your car, and something, you know, the police department, they're trained to see this kind of stuff. Just that maybe the fact that you just missed the lock for a second, or just missed the door, something that raises an eyebrow. They watch you get in your car. You didn't drive anywhere yet, but you turned the motor on for the second. I don't think you say, oh, I'm sorry, officer, I wasn't really going to go anywhere. I just want to put the heat on because I'm freezing cold. That could be. Many sets are cold, especially in the winter here in New York. Or, let's say you've traveled a few feet, but you're on private property. Let's suppose the director said to you, so-and-so, do me a favor, move that car over there. And you just finished your beer. There's your policeman. There's your beer. There's the car you're going to move. And there's your job on the line. You're going to move that car over. So now you move it over 5 feet because they got to bring a jib in. Isn't that grounds for you've moved a motor vehicle?
It requires more than that, and what you're
Really?
alluding to is the question of operation.
Right.
Now, many years ago, operation required that the car actually be running, perhaps even in gear, and then people started to realize that it was silly to wait for the car to actually be in motion and moving, and the law started to become more restrictive to the point where the car didn't have to be running, but if the key was close enough to the ignition that it could be quickly started, that might be enough. And today our big problem is Most of the higher-end cars and some of the not-so-higher-end cars allow you to start a car by not even having the key in your hand.
Sure.
And that gives rise to a whole different series of issues. But the other issue you're alluding to is, where can you or can you not be charged with operating a motor vehicle while intoxicated or impaired by the voluntary consumption of intoxicants,
Right.
usually alcohol? The law generally requires that you be on a public roadway or a private roadway open to the public. So, for example, if you're moving your car in a CVS parking lot, that's a private parking lot, but it's open to the public.
Right.
If you're on the private set, not so much. If you're driving on your own property, you're not guilty of operating while intoxicated because it's not a public roadway. However, if you're operating your vehicle in such a way that you're endangering other people, because let's say you haven't just had 1 or 2 beers, and you've had 6 beers within the course of an hour, and it's not because somebody else suggested you should move the vehicle, you decide to move your vehicle or drive around a rather large lot, but now in doing so, you're endangering other people because the manner in which you're operating, because the consumption of alcohol rendered you incapable of properly operating it. You're not going to have a DWI problem, but you could be liable for endangering other people under a variety of different charges. So we still come back to the same thing. If the voluntary consumption of intoxicants has rendered you unable to properly operate a vehicle, just don't do it.
Wow.
And I'm not, preaching that everybody has to watch every little thing that they do, but the bottom line is you can't look at a local paper like a Newsday anytime in the near future or the recent past that we don't look at the front cover and see DWI, see alcohol-related accidents with fatalities, with disastrous consequences.
Sure.
So the simplest solution is, instead of avoiding all these fine lines, you can drink if you're over 21, you can drive, just don't mix the two at all. Get somebody else to drive.
Wow. This gives way to me for a million new questions, including where it goes when marijuana becomes legal or drugs. And we will come back to you in just a few seconds, right after a commercial break.
Hi, I'm Tom Mealy from Madhouse TV.
And I am Tommy Marr, also from Madhouse TV.
You can see, hey, listen, guys, we're in New York. I don't know if you can see out the window behind us, but I guess this event that we have for Janine's,
ALS.
yeah, but it's for Janine's
Uncle Hobby.
on ALS, the Vermont Veterans Home 0.5 mile
Which everybody can
family
do.
walk to help find a cure for ALS. And it's coming out Saturday, October 18th, registration at 12 o'clock, kickoff at 1:30.
And where it's going to be is at the Vermont Veterans Home at 325 North Bennington, Vermont 05201. And it kicks off, like Tommy said, at 1:30, registration at noon. And if you want to call Christina, call her at 802-447-2792. 802-447-2792. We here at Madhouse, we support anybody that needs help. And it's something we've always done, right, Tom? And we're here in New York, and we're trying to get it out to Vermont. Everybody in Vermont, do your thing. It's for a great cause. It's a half a mile. Everybody can do a half a mile. And like Tom and I just did the ALS, we got drenched outside here in the parking lot of the studio when it was cold with buckets of ice, but maybe you guys can do yours with some sneakers. It's a lot drier.
You know, ALS is a debilitating disease, and I think it's something that everybody's got to get involved in to help find this cure. And I've always said from day one that we can't do it without the help of the average person out there. And, you know, to walk less than a mile, a half a mile is a little ridiculous. And if you can put those sneakers on and walk that half a mile and help bring a cure by fundraising to this disease, then you know what, it really is worth it. I think that we have to step up to the plate. I know here at Madhouse TV, you know, we're actually honored to be able to do this commercial for you folks out there. So get down there Saturday, October 18th, you know, at 12 o'clock.
And there is going to be live music, family fun, refreshments, the Vermont Arts Exchange, and there's going to be an art bus there. Lots to do. Bring the kids, bring everybody. It's for a great cause. And Uncle Harvey, we're going to dedicate this to you, from Madhouse to you and your lovely niece, Janine. So God
All right,
bless
guys.
you, and get your sneakers on
Make
and
it
walk for
happen.
ALS.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Welcome back. I'm Jerry Parisi. You're watching the Long Island Filmmaker Show, and we have our guest here today, Mr. Alan J. Schwartz of the law offices of Alan Schwartz PC, located in Garden City, New York,
That's true.
right on Franklin Avenue, if I'm not mistaken.
Conveniently located.
You don't have a billboard the size of a city bus. Like,
Not in Garden City, you don't.
we were talking about DUI and what it's like if you're on a set and happen to finish your long day, and we put some little interesting scenarios together, which I think everybody's learning what not to do before you get behind the wheel. But having said that, we left off with some interesting things. Alan, let's just pick up where we left off, and then I wanted to ask you about the automobiles and things like this. We're talking about how much and what it is. If I could just say this, when marijuana, and assumably it may very well become legal in small amounts, I don't do that, I don't really know, I don't even want to get it. But the reality is that it is available, and how does that mix in with alcohol and driving impaired?
I think the problem is going to become epidemic because what many people don't realize is you can be charged with operating a motor vehicle under the influence of alcohol. You can be charged with operating a motor vehicle under the influence of drugs. You can be charged with operating a motor vehicle under the influence of the combination of alcohol and drugs. And what people don't realize is operating under even a prescription drug, if it affects you the same way alcohol does, is just as illegal as drinking and driving. So that while the law says that it's basically okay to drink if you're over the age of 21 and it's okay to drive, you just can't mix the two. And whether it's drinking or if people start using marijuana, lawful or unlawful, the fact that you have a prescription doesn't help you with the DWI charge. It just helps you in terms of whether or not you're legally permitted to possess the marijuana and to use the marijuana. And what's going to happen is the same way that if a person is charged with the combined operation of a motor vehicle under drugs and alcohol, it will require less of each to put you over a threshold where you're going to have all sorts of problems. So just a little beer with a little marijuana is worse than perhaps more beer with no marijuana. And certain things exponentially affect the others, so the synergistic effect of certain drugs and alcohol, such as the drugs that you may get from your pharmacy, to say not to be combined with alcohol, then you drink, it becomes an absolute nightmare.
So here's another scenario. I'm on the movie set, another one of those half days that run about 18 hours long. I'm in pain. For whatever reason, you do work hard on a movie set. There is no fun. It really is work. It's enjoyable work, but it's work. Let's suppose I happen to need to take some sort of prescription, whatever they may be. And I took a look at the label and it says, okay, I can take this. It's non-habit forming, whatever it may say. I'm not medically inclined, so I don't really have all those answers. But let's suppose I popped one of those, drank a glass of water with it. Let's go with that first. Got in my car, and left the set, but something kicks in with the medicine and sort of like swerves. And there's two parts to this question. Number one, my wife will admit that I have a girlfriend. My girlfriend's named Madison, and my Madison is named my Mustang. And I love my Mustang. That's my car. Can they take a car away is part B. But let's go with part A. I took the medicine, and it's beginning to have effect on me. Where are we with that?
Well, let's back up a step. Did the medication on the prescription vial tell you not to operate heavy machinery, or what you shouldn't do after taking it, thereby giving you some notice of the fact that it would affect your motor skills and your cognitive skills?
Supposing I didn't see it, I just go to, oh man, where's that?
Okay, so is this something you've taken before?
It's not me. Let's get that record straight.
Well,
right
no,
at the beginning.
I'm just saying, let's assume the person
Okay,
has a
let's assume-
prescription
yeah, okay.
and they know how it's going to affect them, even if it just makes them sleepy.
Yeah, let's suppose normally if it were a person, they would take that medicine and perhaps go to sleep that night. You know, I'm just going to go from the living room to the bedroom. The worst I could do is bang into the sofa on the way in, and I'm going to go to bed. And that's usually what I would say the person would do.
That it's not going to be any different than having a drink to calm your nerves, like in the good old days where people would come home after work, they were upset, they'd have a martini, but that was the good old days when attorneys would have the double martini lunch and then address the jury afterwards. Those days are long gone,
Sure.
fortunately. But again, if taking those pills affects your ability to operate a motor vehicle, particularly if it's to a substantial extent, then you're going to have a problem with it.
Now let's get back to my Mustang. Will they take that car?
This is the hottest area right now, and I can tell you because our office is located right in the middle of Nassau County. Nassau County is one of the toughest counties in the state, if not in the country, in terms of civil forfeiture of automobiles. And there's a long history as to how we came to this point. But Nassau County made a decision within the past several months that they're going to be going after cars not only on convictions for DWIs as misdemeanors or felonies, but they're also going after cars on convictions for operating while impaired, which is a traffic infraction and not a crime. That means the number of vehicles they're going after is epic. And if you're the owner of the vehicle, or if you're the person who leased the vehicle, there's a better chance that you're going to lose that vehicle than not, with all the ancillary problems that you would have in that regard. So that, for example, if you've leased a vehicle, and let's say you've got a $90,000 BMW that's 2 months into a 36-month lease.
Wait, can we say a $90,000 Mustang?
Yes, absolutely. So you've got your limited edition Shelby Cobra.
Now we're talking. Green
And-
with glass roof?
Except you probably wouldn't have leased it, you would have bought it. But let's
All right,
assume
let's-
for the moment
let's
you
go with
leased
that.
it. So
Let's
you
go with
don't
that.
own it and you're 2 months into a 36-month lease.
Right.
Now, you have a pretty good idea the type of penalties you would suffer if you had a high-end car for 2 months and you said, I don't want it anymore, you can have the car back. Now, imagine the police take the car and the county goes after you to confiscate the car. Number one, you'd have the county to deal with in the loss of the vehicle. Number two, you'll probably have Ford Motor Credit coming after you going, you've subjected our car to forfeiture and therefore you've breached the terms of your lease with us, so we're suing you as well. So you're facing litigation by the county, you're facing litigation by the lessor, you're facing all of the penalties. And we had this happen to a client recently who ended up not only being sought after for the car and the legal fees of the county, but more so the legal fees of the lessor for having to bring the action to begin with, and to add insult to injury, when the car was returned to BMW in this case, it turned out that there was damage to the front end of the car that the driver had no idea whether that was done by the valet parking where the car was taken from and then driven, or whether it was done by the tow company that put it onto a flatbed. So to add insult to injury, BMW notified the motorist that they were also going to be responsible for the cost of a new grille on the vehicle. So,
Oh, wait a second now. Who's got this money, unless you're ultra rich plus, to do this?
well, the problem is the laws have been designed so that if you're going to drink and you're going to drive, you're going to have that question to grapple with.
So let's do this, Alan. How can people get in touch with you? That's very important. I know you're on my cell phone since I've met you many, many years ago in one of our networking meetings. You're a tremendous networker, which is very important because you tend to educate. If I had to describe you in a word, you're an educator, and you go out there and you truly are a champion for the people. That's one of the reasons I've known you so long. And number two, Your law firm, we know, is in Garden City, beautiful Garden City. What is your phone number? How can we get in touch with you? What should people know that they can get in touch with you? God forbid something happens.
Well, we're at 516-248-6311, but the real key is anybody who finds themselves in a situation has to find an attorney who really knows what they're doing when it comes to these type of offenses. Many years ago when I was a young DA in the early 80s, a lot of people figured, well, it's just a DWI, it can handle that. And that was a whole different world back then. So whether it's us or any of our colleagues who are equally qualified, the key is get somebody who does this with regularity, that can answer your questions and really know what they're doing. This is not an area in which you want to shop for the lowest possible price on the page. You want to get somebody that you're going to be comfortable with, because you're not only dealing with the potential loss of the car, you're dealing with the potential loss of liberty, and you're dealing with a criminal record, where, unfortunately, in New York, unlike many of our sister states, we don't have a procedure to expunge or seal records after the fact. That is, 5 years down the line, when you decide that your conviction for DWI is making it difficult for you to get certain licensing requirements fulfilled, or whatever it might be. And there is legislation afoot that's in Albany now where they're trying to do that. But the real key is get somebody who's going to be available and get them as quickly as possible. We have lawyers on call 24/7, which means we get calls at 3 o'clock in the morning. We'll have a lawyer at the precinct. We'll have a lawyer at the arraignment. The time to be thinking about a lawyer is not when you're brought before the judge. It's all the preparatory work.
Sure.
Where even once you're pulled over, to say to a police officer very politely, I would like to call my lawyer, and you need a lawyer who's going to answer the phone and answer it quickly.
Oh, I bet. And thank God I don't get myself in that. But you know what? There's people who need your services. Website, you have one.
Yes, it's www.ajslaw.com.
And I imagine that you could answer anybody's question, really, with being 30 years in it and 5 years as a prosecutor, you said?
Absolutely.
So 35 years in the law.
Mhm.
You're only 26 years old. How's that
It's hard to
possible?
believe. Smoke and mirrors.
Alan, I want to thank you. And
pleasure.
what you've given everybody was an invaluable education, whether you're on a movie set or just leaving a party. And I know there's so many that go on. The holidays are upon us. They're really around the block. And people should really think, because there's so much that goes on here in this, Long Island, New York, as opposed to the city of New York. And it could be anywhere, really. But the point is, be careful, do what you got to do, and be ready, God for almighty bid, if something happens.
Absolutely.
Thank you for coming on our show, Alan. I
My
appreciate
pleasure.
it.
Thank you for having me, Jerry.
This has been the Long Island Filmmaker Show, hosted by me, Jerry Parisi. And I look forward to seeing you next week on the show, where we have some interesting animals who are on Royal Pains, to name a few things, and some of the other movies you might see. It takes a lot to put those out. I wonder if animals drink.
I'll leave that for another time.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
You act like you don't want to listen when I'm talking to you. You think you ought to do, baby, anything you want to do. You gotta be crazy, baby. Just gotta be.
Hi, I'm Jerry Parisi. Join me this Friday, October 31st, for a special look into the John Pallotta School of Acting. John, what makes your school so special?
My students in New York, D.C., Chicago, Boston, and Virginia.
That's a lot of places. You must be a real premier acting teacher.
I love what I do. I love my people.
And he loves his people. Join us this Friday, October 31st, on MadhouseTV.com.
Stay tuned for the Long Island Filmmaker Show starring Jerry Parisi.
Hi, my name is Dr. Tom Dow. We have a multidiscipline practice in Melville and Ronkonkoma, New York, and we treat patients with many, many different conditions, from newborns through geriatric patients with numerous different techniques. There's a technique and a type of treatment for every class of patient. We have them all here. Here's my son Thomas, also a doctor of chiropractic, working on one of our patients' cervical spine. This patient has had chronic neck pain for many, many, many years, has been to a multitude of different practitioners with little or no response. And with our specialized techniques, she has improved tremendously and continues to improve on a daily basis. We have two practices, one in Melville and one in Ronkonkoma, New York. We are a multidiscipline chiropractic office. What that means is we have chiropractors, massage therapists, acupuncturists, psychologists, all working as a team and a network of outside professionals such as orthopedists and neurologists that we work hand in hand with to help determine what your injuries are and the best way to treat your injuries. I have the great pleasure of having my son in practice with me. We work hand in hand, father and son, to give our patients the best care possible, and a staff which is loving, caring, and you'll never have to wait at all in our office for service. Many times patients come into our office and they have what's called a soft tissue injury. Soft tissue injuries are like scars inside your body. If you've ever been cut on the outside of your body, you get a scar. The same thing happens inside of your body to your muscles and ligaments. So our job is to determine where those are, stretch the muscles, adjust the vertebra back into their correct position, and then refortify the normal structure with exercise. That's what we do best, and I hope someday you'll come see us at one of our two offices. Thank you.
Old Spice body spray will make you feel so powerful to blow your mind right in front of your face. Goodbye. Oh no! It's like I don't. Power!
Automatic freshness, softness, and static control has never been easier with the Bounce Dryer Bar. I just stick it to the inside of my dryer, and I never have to remember.
Oh! Old Spice body spray makes you smell like power! It's so powerful it sells itself in other people's commercials. You smell like outdoor freshness.
You smell like power.
Yeah, I do. Power! Power!
Try this routine to feel fresh and clean. Pair Charmin Fresh Mates with your Charmin.
Oh, Spice Body Spray is too powerful to stay in its own commercial. That's right. Power. Oh, Spice Body Spray can change a regular smelling man into a man who smells like power.
Now, how is this? Wow, you know what? I actually do feel more powerful.
Potato chips! Power! It's me.
Real women.
Real talk.
And that's the Women of Destiny.
I'm Dorina Barksdale.
And I'm Maxima Castro. And you can see us every Saturday evenings from 8 to 9 p.m. only on MadhouseTV.com.
You're watching MadhouseTV.com.
Fellas. You know what? More energy. I need big energy. Try one with a lot of energy. Let's try that. Go ahead.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
You're watching MadhouseTV.com.
Great. Now do it without me.
Stay tuned for the Long Island Filmmaker Show starring Jerry Parisi.
Like you don't wanna listen when I'm talking to you. You think you ought to do, baby, anything you wanna do. You gotta be crazy, baby. Just gotta be.
Show. I just want to tell you that last week we had the law office of Alan J. Schwartz on, and the phones have not stopped ringing. I think they should to call him, not the studio. But tonight we have a lot going on. We have some incredible animals on our show, as well as actor Daniel Owen. We have Karen Freed, who has her little Tigger with her. And of course, Mr. Lodi, Charlie Lodi. Did I say that right again? Yeah. Lodi, with Stryker. And I'm going to start with the animals for the quick second and then devote some time to animals. So your animals are in movies, TV. Are they union?
No.
They're not union. Are you guys union?
No.
Okay, but you get to do all the SAG movies and the big things like Royal Pains, right?
No, that was me.
That was you.
Royal Pains,
You're in Royal Pains.
I'm in Royal Pains.
I'm very confused. So how do the animals get into the shows?
We have a spectacular agent
Yeah.
who, when they have a call, they call us.
Okay, and you're going to share that agent on it. You've been very tough with these little informationals. I got them from you. And Charlie, how about you? You live all the way down in the Jersey Shore, right?
Yes, I do.
And so Stryker came up with you from the Jersey Shore today to be here in Long Island, New York. Might I mention Deer Park, where the wonderful Madhouse TV is located. Shameless plug. But, but we are the family here. So the reality is both animals and are show animals.
Yes.
And who gets more parts, Stryker or Tigger?
Stryker.
Stryker gets more.
Yeah, I got a lot of Rottweilers, so they got a lot of TV shows, movies, prints, and stuff like that.
And this is a Rottweiler.
This is a Rottweiler.
Okay.
This is a puppy.
A puppy. What does it get to be the size of a bus later on?
Yes.
All right, good. Just want to double check. Now, I'm going to move over to Daniel for a moment. Daniel has an incredible movie out. And Danny, when I saw that movie, I was pretty impressed.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Tell us about that movie you've got coming out and where they can actually see it even before it hits the film festival.
Well, A Boy Named Sue. I graduated from Marist College just last May, and 4 of my close friends and I, we had to, basically for our sign-off at school, our project, we had to make a movie. You know, you had many choices to do what you wanted. We wanted to make a film because we're all aspiring actors, and we want to work in the industry, so, I won't get too crazy about it, but it's based on the song A Boy Named Sue. It was originally written by Shel Silverstein, the poem.
Okay.
And Johnny Cash ended up performing it. And we adopted it and wrote a screenplay in the style of Wes Anderson Escape, as you can say.
Oh, okay.
No rhyme intended there.
And just so we're right up front with that, it can be seen on Vimeo, right?
Yes, it's on Vimeo. It is up.
Yeah.
And we absolutely love it. We've gotten great feedback from all our friends and family. We would like to do some ADR work. We want to re-record over a scene at the bar because actually the refrigerator, if you're ever filming and you're in a bar, just be very mindful of any refrigerators, other electronics that are going on because the camera picks up on so much extra sound.
Oh, I know that.
And I did not realize this, and our cinematographer, Chris Patricus, he was saying, guys, like, is there any way we could shut the fridge off? And Jackie, who is one of the directors for it and helped us throughout the entire process, she was saying, no, I'm sorry, we can't, because they had to open the bar in a few hours. We were there at 6 a.m., 5 a.m. setting up to do a whole time, and we went past our limit. So besides that noise, that extra ambient noise I was picked up, other than that, we thought it came out really well, and if we can get re-record some of that stuff, we'd like to submit it in as many student festivals, and who knows where it can go. I think it's...
Well, you have my promise that what we'll do is we'll bring you back. I'm actually booked all the way into January already, and this is being done in this is October today. But I would definitely want to have you back and run some clips when you know where things are going.
I would love to.
And speaking of
That's right,
sounds,
Tiger. That's right. You tell him. We want Dan back.
And I was going to lead to sounds, but the dog took the cue from me. Ladies and gentlemen, the Filmmaker Show starring Stryker. We'll be back. No.
Hey, watch Tigger.
Sorry, Tigger.
I'm an animal too, man.
Yes.
I'm an animal too, let me tell you.
All right. Well, speaking of sounds, let's talk sounds for a minute. How do you keep these animals quiet, except for this one for the moment?
A lot of training.
Yeah.
A lot of experience. I've been doing it for about 10 years now.
10 years.
I know how to stay behind the cameras and get the dogs to do what they want to do. I do a lot of training during the day. When I come home from work, I give at least 5 minutes a day, with all of them and stuff like that. And
how many are there?
I have 8 of them.
8 of them. And there are some pictures we have in the background. So I'm not. When the pictures come up, you'll take a look at them and just tell us what we're looking at. Okay. And while we're waiting for those pictures to come up, Karen.
Yes, Jerry.
We met at a movie recently. We met at a movie party. You told me all about your animal. And one of the things, okay, tell me about that picture there. What are we
That
looking
is
at?
Cody.
That's Cody.
That's Tigger's brother.
Tigger's brother. Okay. And who's this?
That's Cody also.
It's Cody also. Okay.
And Cody.
I was one of the ones in the
Oh,
ad. I
a
thought
lot
it
of
was
ones of Cody.
Well, I took what you gave me and I put it out there. And what's the next one? Oh, this looks like, oh yeah, some...
That's not my house.
No, it's a few dogs. So I'll assume that this is...
That's my house. That's my king-size bed right there with all my dogs on there.
Now, do you sleep with the dogs?
I sleep with 3 of them, and a couple of them sleep here and there. They're all over the place, but I have the mother and Stryker and Axel that just did a big movie, Walk Among the Tombstones.
Who is
With
in
Liam
that?
Neeson.
Liam Neeson on that movie.
Wow.
Excellent.
Yes, excellent movie.
And where was that shot?
That was shot in New York, and
Film
the
capital
director really liked the dog a lot, so they got a really good shot of him
Nice.
twice in his face. It
Well,
was
that's
really
good.
nice.
That's good. That's
I
great.
enjoy it.
And
What do
that
we got
is
here?
Stryker.
That's Stryker at Petco.
Oh, yeah, at Petco.
Yeah.
PetSmart.
That was him
That's
at
smart. Sorry.
There is a difference,
That's
guys.
smart.
Listen, after 6 cats and the dog we have now, I won't even
Yeah.
allow a goldfish in my house anymore.
And that is Cody in his new military uniform.
Oh, the military uniform. Okay, good.
And Cody again. When are we
Cody
getting
again.
your pictures, buddy?
Well, did you send me some of Tigger?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Worst comes to worst, we put a close-up on Tigger. And let's get away from the pictures for a moment, and let's talk about Tigger. He looks like my old cat named Jones. And so if my daughter's watching me right now, and I know my son in Japan, Michael's watching, right, Mike? Good boy.
Hi, Michael.
He's all around the world. And Madhouse TV is great like that. Do you know you can be anywhere in the world, and you can pick up
And you
Madhouse
can
TV. So that means I can make a fool of myself collectively in more places at the same time. I'm proud of that.
Good job.
Tell us about Tigger. And what is, hold Tigger up. I just want to,
Tigger is wearing a special suit.
Of course.
That was specially designed for him
He
by
is going
Delilah's
out.
Pet Wear.
Why does
Miguel
all the
Rodriguez.
guests go out after the show and I don't all the time?
He's got pink in his bow tie for breast cancer awareness.
Oh, yeah, very important this month.
So
Yes,
it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month,
That's
and we are walking this Sunday at Jones Beach.
Oh, that's
Everybody
very nice.
walk, donate.
Okay.
We're celebrating my mom's 5-year cancer-free.
That's beautiful.
So that's why we're
Congratulations.
both wearing pink for
I
her.
see.
He's
That's
rather
good.
stylish as well.
He's very
Say the least.
stylish.
Very stylish. You
and
see this
he's
cat
got-
on?
He's
Making us look bad.
The cat does make you look bad. Lucky I'm getting a new sponsor for clothing.
Yeah.
There you go.
Sign me
he
up,
usually
man.
likes wearing clothes.
How many pounds is this cat?
He is 16 pounds.
See, now Jonesy was actually, when Jonesy was as heavy as 22, like huge.
Wow.
In fact, Jonesy, our cat, would open up the refrigerator by sticking his, look just like that cat, but that's a little smaller. Stick his jaw under the refrigerator and pop it. And suddenly you'd see literally a turkey go running across the floor. And that was being pulled by string by Jones. True, true. How many pounds is Stryker here?
Right now, he's a puppy. He's about 115 pounds right now.
100, and how many pounds are you, Daniel?
Yes, he's an animal person. We'll keep that. We don't want to embarrass me, do we?
All right,
Not
well,
dare.
I tell you what, with that question,
147.
There you go. I don't want to tell you my weight. It's 603.
Yeah.
With that, we'll be right
you
back.
can give me a few pounds, all right? I could use a few extra.
Technical Worldwide Tattoo Supply is one of the largest suppliers in the world and your #1 resource for top quality, affordable tattoo and piercing supplies. Technical Worldwide Tattoo Supply is the #1 supplier of tattoo inks in the world with more than 200 products including Mom's Ink, Philadelphia Eddie's Traditional Inks, Paolini Sacred Color Inks, and more. Technical Worldwide Tattoo Supply, your one-stop shopping destination for great service, best prices, and top quality supplies. Coney Island Carlos vintage wines and premium spirits are undeniably distinctive, selected for their unique, memorable flavor. Coney Island Carlos vintage wines and premium spirits are delivered to you in beautifully designed bottles featuring limited edition artwork. Coney Island Carlos vintage wines and premium spirits are available at affordable prices in fine restaurants, bars, and liquor stores. Or check www.coneyislandcarlo.com for available.
Hi, I'm Tom Mealy from Madhouse TV.
And I am Tommy Marr, also from Madhouse TV.
You can see, hey, listen, guys, we're in New York. I don't know if you can see out the window behind us, but I guess this event that we have for Janine's,
ALS.
yeah, but it's for Janine's
Uncle Hobby.
on ALS, the Vermont Veterans Home 0.5 mile
Which everybody can
family
do.
walk to help find a cure for ALS, and it's coming out Saturday, October 18th. Registration at 12 o'clock. Kickoff at 1:30.
And where it's going to be is at the Vermont Veterans Home at 325 North Bennington, Vermont 05201. And it kicks off, like Tommy said, at 1:30. Registration at noon. And if you want to call Christina, call her at 802-447-2792. 802-447-2792. We here at Madhouse, we support anybody that needs help. And it's something we've always done, right, Tom? And we're here in New York, and we're trying to get it out to Vermont. Everybody in Vermont, do your thing. It's for a great cause. It's a half a mile. Everybody can do a half a mile. And like Tom and I just did the ALS, we got drenched outside here in the parking lot of the studio when it was cold with buckets of ice, but maybe you guys can do yours with some sneakers. It's a lot drier.
You know, ALS is a debilitating disease, and I think it's something that everybody's got to get involved in to help find this cure. And I've always said from day one that we can't do it without the help of the average person out there. And, you know, to walk less than a mile, a half a mile is a little ridiculous. And if you can put those sneakers on and walk that half a mile and help bring a cure by fundraising to this disease, then you know what, it really is worth it. I think that we have to step up to the plate. I know here at Madhouse TV, you know, we're actually honored to be able to do this commercial for you folks out there. So get down there Saturday, October 18th, you know, at 12 o'clock.
And there is going to be live music, family fun, refreshments, the Vermont Arts Exchange, and there's going to be an art bus there. Lots to do. Bring the kids, bring everybody. It's for a great cause. And Uncle Harvey, we're going to dedicate this to you, from Madhouse to you and your lovely niece, Janine. So God
All right,
bless
guys.
you, and get your sneakers on and
Make it
walk
happen.
for ALS.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Hi, I'm Jerry Parisi, the Long Island Filmmaker Show, and we are back, and we happen to have some incredible stars here today with us. We have Tigger the cat, and we have Striker the dog. I hate to put myself in that same sentence, Jerry Parisi, but that happens sometimes. And we've got Daniel Owen, which...
You know, what else is there to say, right?
What else is there to say? All right, so you got the animals nice and quiet here. They go to a set. They're put to work. How many hours do the animals work?
Go up to 24 hours, you could go up 12 hours, you know. It's so funny, the directors always say, you know, we're going to do the shot now, and it turns out to 4:30 in the morning.
No, that happens to everybody,
Yeah.
not just you.
No, it does, you know.
Trust me on that.
They should always do kids and dogs first, but they wait to the last minute to do the animals, and they get all tired out. But they perform, they do what they have to do.
How do you feed the animals on a set? I mean...
I usually...
you bring food or do they?
No, all the buffets that cook and stuff, they know me. So they always give me the leftovers of the prime ribs and stuff. They're like...
You know, nobody believes
That
that.
said prime rib?
Yeah.
You want to give me that number?
They come trays. They,
Royal Pains.
They're like, here you go, Charlie. Here's all the prime rib for the dogs, and the dogs eat like feast.
You know what? I tell people often, the many sets I've been on, there's never-ending food.
No.
And they just keep going, and
Yes.
it's a hysterical thing. You could get like a balloon. And
Yes.
trust me, it's like a wedding every day on a real set. And I mean by a real set, I shouldn't insult the other smaller ones. That's a union set. Are you SAG?
I am not SAG.
How did you do Royal Pains without being on SAG?
I'm background.
Doesn't matter.
I was Nurse Shirley Stahl.
Uh-huh.
I was the white blur that went in the back of Mark Feuerstein.
That was a white
Who
blur.
is great, by the way. He was fantastic. He was such a sweetheart. My car ended up being on film longer than me, which was really funny because it was
I
in
know
the parking
Sylvia
lot.
Fay asks for cars all the time. Sylvia Fay brings cars in with actors, but you got to be a union actor to drive your car on a set. You do waivers? How many times you were on that show?
Just once.
That's why, because you did a
Just
waiver.
once.
You did it to Taft-Hartley waiver.
No, I didn't.
You had to do something. You can't be on a union show without being union. One way or another, you have to be something.
Talk to my talent manager,
Who I want the name of. Who's your talent manager?
Candace Kane of Kane Talent.
Candace Kane of Kane Talent. Everybody give Candace a call on Monday.
She's phenomenal. She's absolutely phenomenal.
And how
I
about
love
you?
her to
Have
death.
you been in some of the movies or things like that? They ask you to do a walk-on?
Sometimes I'm like the back in, like when I have to pick the Rottweiler up and the actor can't pick him up because he's so heavy, so they splice me in, you know, a couple scenes. Or, you know, they always want the Rottweiler to look scary, you know. So, you know, yeah, I splice in here and there. Do I like it? Nah, I'd rather be behind the camera and let the
Really?
dog do all the pictures.
And how many pounds does Striker weigh again?
He's 115 pounds right now.
115 pounds right now.
That's almost what you weigh.
Except, you know, I'm all pure muscle, right? So.
There you go. See, Danny's all pure muscle. Danny, let's get back to you a little bit on your career. How do you do your movies? I mean, how do you cast, or how do you get into them? You're an actor primarily, but you turn into a filmmaker because a lot of times actors, I know one sitting here personally who does the same thing, winds up becoming a little bit of the filmmaker as he's working towards things. Notice I said he.
Yeah.
What do you consider yourself first, a filmmaker or an actor?
An actor, most definitely. Personally, I will never limit myself to anything. I want to have as much range and diversity in all areas of the field as I can.
Sure.
I just want to get, my name out there. I'm ready to work, ready to have some fun. And of course, I'm going to acting school now.
Okay.
So I'm in the city 5 days a week, 6 days a week.
Good.
And, it's been a tough transition. It hasn't been, it's not supposed to be easy. It's not supposed to be easy. It wouldn't be worth it if it was.
Let me tell you something. It is the most coveted and hardest industry to get in the world into, is that one, the movie industry. Followed by the music industry, videos, music, everything else. And believe it or not, where I come from, Madison Avenue, the third. That's what people tend to want to do. They really want to get their work out there and be proud of it. We have a show coming up at the end of the month, and that's John Pallotta's School of Acting. I'm going to ask John if you can come in and sit in one of his classes.
I would love to, please.
And he is a wonderful guy, John Pallotta. Got some great shots. In fact, it's our first remote. It's not done in the studio. It's actually done in New York City in the acting classes. It's great.
Very cool.
For your animals, how did they get trained, speaking of classes?
He teaches me.
He teaches you. So, when you say, Karen, jump, she jumps through a hoop. I'm assuming you jump through a hoop.
No, he usually...
Can you make her go through fire, too? I was just wondering.
Not yet, but don't give him any ideas, please.
All right, so...
Basically, I started them with the basic command, sit, stay, and that from dog training books.
Okay, that's like my wife tells me, sit, eat, shut up. It's the same training. I like that. And you teach her. You're her mentor.
Yes.
And you've been doing how many years again, please?
I've been in movie districts about 10 years. Training I've been doing for at least about 15, 20 years right now.
Favorite movie you ever been in?
Wow, that's a tough one. My first one was 30 Rock. That was laugh because I was very unexperienced on the movies sets. Famous one I was in, I have to say, I really enjoyed Walk Among the Tombstones. That was a very fun movie. It was really nice. I really enjoyed it a lot. And there was another one, Torture Chamber. I enjoyed that one.
Torture Chamber.
I can't watch some of the movies his dogs are in. They're horror films.
Yeah.
I can't.
Oh, is that right? Horror films. Okay.
Yeah, there's another one coming out I really enjoyed a lot. There's a lot of good actors out there. I really enjoy being around them, and
There's a lot of good actors out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They really like the dogs a lot, and they like the way they perform and stuff like that. I just like being on the set.
Wonderful. Okay, so first off, what was that manager's name one more time?
My talent manager is Candace Kane of Kane Talent.
Got it.
CAIN, and our agent is. She'll kill us if we don't do this.
Yep.
Gloria Winship of All Animal Actors.
Gloria,
She's fantastic.
they're mentioning your name now. How do we get in touch with you?
How do you get in touch with me? Usually through my agent.
Through the agent, who is again?
Gloria.
Okay, Gloria's number?
Gloria's number is, do you know it offhand?
Not offhand. It's on my phone.
Watch the work stop.
It's 951.
It's 951-578832.
Okay, there might have been an extra digit in there, but it
Yes.
doesn't matter. How do we get in touch with you, Karen?
Through my agent.
Through my agent, excuse me.
I love saying that.
Angela Delizio,
Technically
if you're
his
watching, you see the loyalty here, Angela? My agent was just here a little while ago.
Through his agent.
My manager was just here.
Through
Angela's
his
actual
agent.
manager. Through his agent. Okay, so we get to you through this cat's agent. Danny, how do we get to you, and what's that website again for you?
Well, I currently don't have an agent or manager yet. Yeah, exactly.
I can hook you up with Kane Talent.
In due time. So that'll somewhere down the road that'll happen. But by my email, my cell phone, you might see me up on the billboards.
Yes.
Follow the yellow brick road, I guess.
And let's take a look. The movie, the Vimeo movie.
Yes.
It's A Boy Named Sue.
Boy Named Sue on Vimeo.
Very well done. So you type in A as in boy, B-O-Y, named, N-A-M-E-D.
How do you do?
Sue, S-U-E. Boy Named Sue. Look up Daniel Owen
Please
if
do.
you need an actor that is his structure, size, weight, good looking, unlike me, who's just old and falling apart. They crazy glued me this morning again.
That's what would put you two together. Before and after shot.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, any parting words? We're going to get ready to go. This is one more of these instant episodes that I just can't get over how fast they go.
Cat needs more work.
And what?
The cat needs more work.
The cat needs
Hire
more
my
work, everybody.
babies.
The cat needs more work. All right, so
He needs new clothes.
The cat needs more clothes.
Check out
He's going to
my.
have 3 tuxedos.
I was gonna say, check out my the acting conservatory I'm attending.
Oh, what is that?
Tom Todorov Studio and Acting Conservatory. He's a legend. He's already done wonders in the first month I've been there. All the
Okay.
teachers are incredible. Check
Got
it
it.
out.
All righty, that's good. And I want to thank you, A, for driving in from all the way down in Jersey, from the Jersey Shore, and bringing Stryker here with you.
It's been a pleasure.
I
Thank
want to
you.
thank you, Karen, from driving across the street all the way. And Daniel, you live in Long Island, but there was a pretty far hike for you.
Yeah, I'm living on Long Island still with my parents, but I'm couch surfing right now. You know,
Couch
struggling actor. You have to do what you got to do, and
Yeah.
I'm lucky I have a lot of great friends in the city who are
That's great.
holding me up while I go to school and work and do what I got to do. So, but yeah, New York City that's my heart and soul.
Oh, that's where you got to be.
He's falling asleep.
Oh, he's falling asleep. All right, I'm Jerry Parisi. You've been watching the Long Island Filmmakers Show. Thank you for tuning in, and be safe, be well, and
Thank you.
so long, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Take care.
Good night.
You act like you don't want to listen when I'm talking to you. You think you ought to do, baby, anything you want to do. You gotta be crazy, baby.